My name is Louise Batchelor, or as I'm known, Porridge Lady, and there's a very good reason for being known as a Porridge Lady. I'm totally obsessed by porridge. And today I'm going to show you how to make, well, what I think is probably the best porridge. It's very simple. You have your oatmeal, and I prefer to use, this is very coarse oatmeal, and this is the oats in the stage that it gets before it's rolled into the flat oats. So this is the first stage of porridge, and this is the way I prefer to cook my porridge, very coarse oatmeal. And then with that I use some very coarse sea salt, and that's just to, don't think of it as actually salting your porridge, just think of it as enhancing the flavour. So I use a very small amount of salt in the porridge, and then water, and that's just, for me, I just use tap water, or you can use any kind of water that you like, but this is just good old-fashioned Reading tap water. So what I'm going to be cooking my porridge in is what's called a porringer or a bain-marie, and basically this is where you have a saucepan within a saucepan. So at the base of the saucepan I've got some very hot water, and then into that is placed the top saucepan, and the idea really for this is to allow the oats to cook a lot slower. So you're getting a lot more flavour with your oats. And also, if you're new perhaps to cooking oatmeal, it's a lot easier to cook it this way because your oats won't burn or stick to the base of the saucepan, which is what they can do with a sort of a conventional steel saucepan. So here we got, oh, and finally, perhaps the most important thing is the spurtle. And a lot of people ask me what on earth a spurtle is, and basically it's a stirring device for porridge. It's a wooden stirring stick. And the reason that spurtles are used is because you can really get into the whole of the saucepan without actually any of your porridge sticking, so to make sure everything's stirred. So spurtle is quite important, but I'm sure you can get away with using a wooden spoon. So into the pan I've got 1 cup of oats. Now I like to use 2 cups of water to every 1 cup of oats, and I use the same for rolled oats as I do for oatmeal. So that's 1 to 2, and I'm going to get that up to a nice high temperature and just get that cooking. Now with porridge, or definitely with oatmeal, you do need to keep an eye on it and keep stirring all of the time. But with a porringer like this, if you do just turn away for a moment, it's not going to burn or stick to the bottom. Now as it's coming up to temperature, I sometimes just pop the lid on to get that up to heat, and as I say, you'll start seeing the water boiling up and you'll know that it's getting nice and hot. Now with the salt, I'm using much less than a teaspoon, really only about 1/4 of a teaspoon. So like I say, you're not actually having a salty flavour to your porridge. Perhaps that's what you prefer, but I like just to bring out the flavour of the oats rather than actually salt them. So I wait for the oats to start cooking to let the water absorb slightly, and then I'm taking less really than 1/4 of a teaspoon, and that would be for either one very hungry person like myself, or probably 2 people if you like a bit of a small breakfast in the morning. So as the oats are just warming through, I then put the salt in at that stage, and again get it stirred in nice and quickly and make sure that's even throughout. You'll begin to know when the oatmeal is cooked really by its consistency. It'll just get a lot thicker and a lot harder to stir. As you can see, I'm really having to put some effort in now to get it to stir. And what you want to do is to get it to a nice thick consistency, but before it goes too gloopy. It can actually start going the other way if you cook it too long, where the starch is really breaking down and it's just becoming a gloopy consistency. So you want to get it while there's still a little bit of bite, while you can actually see the oatmeal still, but it's cooked down enough that it's delicious to actually eat it. And the more you do this, the more you'll get used to how you prefer it. Some people like it still very coarse because it has quite a nutty texture and quite a nutty flavour to it. Other people like it much thicker because it's quite kind of hearty and warming. So really just have a try and see which way you prefer cooking your oatmeal. As you can see, it's a really thick consistency by now. And when you put it into the bowl, just leave it for a few moments, and that will get it to Just leaving it sort of almost to breathe for a few moments to get it to a nice consistency. And also stop you burning your mouth. And that's it. Oatmeal, what I think is the best way to make porridge.